Let me tell you about four people. Peter is 68. He worked hard his whole life, bought a beautiful home in the suburbs back in the 80s, raised a family, and by every measure looked like he had life figured out. And honestly, for a long time, he did. Sheila is 52. Two kids, a solid career in marketing, a nice car in the driveway, and a holiday every year. If you looked at her life from the outside, you'd assume she was doing great. Then there's Rob. He worked hard, paid off his student loans slowly, watched his friends buy houses he couldn't afford, and spent weekends on brunches and short trips because, honestly, what exactly was he supposed to be saving for? And finally, Olivia. She has TikTok, a side hustle, a Stanley Cup, and she's already 3 months into her investing journey. She might be the most financially aware 24-year-old her family has ever seen. 4 people, 4 generations, 4 completely different lives. And every one of them fell into the exact same financial trap. Not because they were bad with money. Most people trapped by this are actually careful. They budget. They think before they spend. They try to be responsible. That's why the trap works. Because it never feels reckless. It feels smart. At some point, every generation gets handed an unwritten definition of success. A house, a lifestyle, freedom, an image. Nobody explains it. You just absorb it. From your parents, your friends, the people around you. And when you can finally afford that version of success, you chase it. Not because you're greedy, because it feels normal. That is the mistake. Confusing the appearance of wealth with the structure of wealth. For Peter, it was the house. Owning a home meant safety, respect, proof that you had made it. So he bought the biggest house he could reasonably afford. And yes, it went up in value. On paper, Peter looks wealthy, but most of that wealth is trapped inside the house he still lives in. The pension is smaller than expected. Retirement is longer than planned. And selling means leaving the life he spent 40 years building. The house was not the mistake. Believing the house was the whole plan was. For Sheila, the trap was lifestyle. Every raise improved her life, but not her future. Better salary, better car. Better job, bigger house. Harder work, nicer holidays. None of it felt irresponsible. That's what makes lifestyle creep dangerous. Nobody ruins their future in one dramatic moment. They do it in monthly payments. She earns more than her parents ever did, but 10 years from retirement, the margin still feels too small. Because her lifestyle grew as fast as her income. She looks successful. But looking successful and being financially secure are not the same thing. For Rob, it was experiences. Housing got expensive. Stability got harder. The old path felt closed. So the new advice became simple. Spend on experiences. Live your life. Don't wait. And honestly, that sounds wise. Until you realize experiences do not compound. Trips end. Dinners end. Weekends end. The money leaves and never comes back. Rob has great memories, but very little invested. And now the future feels expensive. The trap was not enjoying life. It was using experiences as a substitute for building assets. And then there's Olivia. She actually understands money. She knows what an index fund is. She follows finance creators. She has already started investing. But Gen Z has its own trap. Performance. Looking wealthy has never been easier and never been more expensive. The apartment setup, the clothes, the coffee, the perfect aesthetic of having your life together. She might invest $50 a month while spending 3 times that maintaining the image of someone who looks financially ahead. That is the modern trap. Not ignorance, performance. So, what is the one financial mistake every generation repeats? They let their generation decide what success is supposed to look like, and they spend years trying to buy that image. The house, the lifestyle, the experiences, the aesthetic. Different costume, same trap. The people who escape do something simple and uncomfortable. They separate the signal from the substance. They become willing to look less wealthy than they actually are. Older car, smaller house, fewer upgrades, less performance, more assets. That is the rule. Assets first, lifestyle second. Not forever, just long enough for the assets to start paying for the lifestyle. Peter, Sheila, Rob, and Olivia are not failures. They are normal. And that should worry you. Because normal is often just the trap everyone agreed to call success. So the real question is simple. Which version are you living right now? The house? The lifestyle? The experiences? The performance? Because the trap never feels like a trap while you are inside it. It feels like progress, and that is exactly why every generation repeats it.